Tim Duncan is born in 1976 on the island of St. Croix, part of the U.S. Virgin Islands. As a child, his athletic focus is on swimming, not basketball. His older sister, Tricia, competes on the Virgin Islands national swim team, and by age 13, Duncan ranks among the top junior swimmers in the Caribbean. He specializes in the 400-meter freestyle and trains daily with hopes of reaching the Olympics. Then in 1989, Hurricane Hugo slams the island and destroys the only Olympic-sized pool. With his training facility gone and his mother battling breast cancer, Duncan abandons swimming. He stands 6'3" at age 14 and reluctantly pivots to basketball, a sport he barely knows. Within 2 years, he grows 5 more inches and starts attracting attention from college scouts who overlook his inexperience in favor of his size and discipline. Wake Forest head coach Dave Odom takes the chance. Duncan accepts a scholarship to play in the ACC, setting the stage for one of the most efficient college careers in modern history. From 1993 to 1997, Tim Duncan anchors the Wake Forest Demon Deacons with a brand of consistency that quickly earns national respect. By his sophomore season, he leads the nation in rebounds and begins a 3-year streak as NABC Defensive Player of the Year. As a senior, he averages 20.8 points, 14.7 rebounds, and 3.3 blocks per game, posting numbers that make him both a statistical anomaly and a coach's dream. Unlike future top picks who declare after a single breakout year, Duncan stays all 4 seasons. He earns a psychology degree, dominates the ACC, and never chases early fame. His decision contrasts sharply with the one-and-done culture forming around players like Kevin Garnett and later Kobe Bryant. By 1997, Duncan is the consensus number 1 overall pick, a rare case where the most NBA-ready player is also the most experienced. San Antonio lands him in the post-lottery draft shakeup caused by David Robinson's injury, setting the stage for a franchise transformation. In 1997, Tim Duncan joins a Spurs team anchored by 7 feet 1 inch center David Robinson, forming one of the league's most physically dominant front courts. Dubbed the Twin Towers, the pairing immediately reshaped San Antonio's identity into a defensive powerhouse. By Duncan's second season, the Spurs navigate a lockout-shortened schedule to finish with a 37-13 record, the best in the NBA. The 1999 playoffs mark a breakout for Duncan on the biggest stage. In the finals against the Knicks, he averages 27.4 points, 14 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks per game, earning Finals MVP honors at just 23 years old. His bank shots and rim protection anchor a Spurs team that allows only 84.7 points per game during the postseason. With the championship, Duncan becomes the youngest Finals MVP since Magic Johnson. Yet media attention mostly credits the duo, not the individual. The Spurs title legitimizes Duncan as a franchise cornerstone, but his quiet dominance keeps him from instant superstardom. Tim Duncan turns an old-school move into a modern weapon. His signature angled jumper off the glass, known simply as the bank shot, becomes one of the most effective and efficient scoring tools of the 2000s. While most stars chase poster dunks or step-back threes, Duncan repeatedly uses this fundamental shot to average over 20 points per game for his first 9 seasons. Its mechanics, high release, precise angle, soft touch, showcase a technical mastery that rarely makes highlight reels. Because the move lacks flair, media outlets routinely label Duncan boring, even as defenders struggle to stop it. He doesn't flex after baskets, scream at referees, or choreograph celebrations. He just backpedals on defense. His quiet precision creates a perception gap. Fans see simplicity, but coaches see surgical dominance. Meanwhile, the move earns him the nickname the Big Fundamental, a compliment that doubles as a marketing death sentence. The lack of flash obscures just how lethal Duncan's game actually is, especially in late-clock, high-pressure situations. Tim Duncan's 2003 playoff run cements his status as the best two-way force in the league. In the finals against the New Jersey Nets, he averages 24.2 points, 17 rebounds, and 5.3 blocks per game, controlling tempo on both ends with unmatched consistency. In Game 6, he records 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, and 8 blocks, just 2 shy of a quadruple-double, the closest any players come in a finals game since blocks became official in 1973. With David Robinson retiring, the Spurs shift from a veteran-heavy core to a roster led by Duncan, 20-year-old Tony Parker, and 25-year-old Manu Ginobili. The transition should cost them wins, but Duncan's stability smooths every adjustment. He guides a team in flux to a 60-win regular season and a championship without any all-star help. No highlight dunks, no viral moments, just defensive rotations, outlet passes, and bank shots at scale. He wins Finals MVP for the second time in 5 years, yet never headlines the summer's NBA talk shows. The league recognizes his greatness, but the culture still resists his style, setting up the contrast for what comes next. Shaquille O'Neal coins the nickname the Big Fundamental to describe Tim Duncan's robotic consistency and no-flair dominance. Across 19 NBA seasons, Duncan averages 19.0 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks per game, logging 15 all-defense selections, tied with Kevin Garnett for most all-time. He doesn't lead the league in scoring, rebounding, or blocks, but he ranks top 10 in all three over multiple seasons. His value lies not in explosions, but in the refusal to ever disappear. Duncan never gets ejected in nearly 2 decades of games, 1,392 in the regular season, 251 in the playoffs. He rarely argues with refs, rarely gestures after plays, and rarely speaks in post-game quotes longer than a paragraph. Even his bank shot is efficient to the point of being unmarketable. He isn't anonymous, but he makes anonymous look elite. While the league promotes flashier stars, Duncan keeps collecting wins, setting the stage for his most unassuming dynasty. Tim Duncan becomes the cornerstone of a franchise that prizes stability over spotlight. From 1997 to 2016, the Spurs win 50 or more games in 18 out of 19 seasons, not because of one-man heroics, but because Duncan sets the tone for unselfish, system-first basketball. He accepts coaching from Greg Popovich in public, never lashes out in the media, and rarely speaks louder than necessary in the locker room. When your best player takes a backseat, no one else demands the wheel. Behind the scenes, Duncan helps mold Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and eventually Kawhi Leonard, not through big speeches, but through film sessions, defense drills, and by example. He takes pay cuts in his prime so the team can sign needed pieces, keeping San Antonio competitive deep into his 30s. While other superstars prioritize market leverage, Duncan prioritizes roster flexibility. The result is an organizational identity so strong it's copied league-wide, and none of it happens without the guy who never asked for credit. In 2007, Tim Duncan leads the Spurs to their 4th NBA title by neutralizing a 22-year-old LeBron James in his first finals appearance. The Spurs sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers in 4 games, holding them to just 81.5 points per game, 18 fewer than their season average. Duncan anchors the paint with 18.3 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game, while funneling Cleveland's drives into mid-range purgatory. It's a clinic in controlled defense and half-court execution. The Spurs don't blow Cleveland out. Instead, they squeeze them possession by possession, winning by an average margin of 6.5 points. Duncan never flashes for cameras, but he dictates tempo and spacing without ever forcing a shot. LeBron, hounded by Bruce Bowen and trapped on pick and rolls, shoots 35.6% for the series. Duncan doesn't just beat the next face of the league, he makes him look unready. Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich formed the longest-lasting player-coach partnership in NBA history, spanning 19 seasons from 1997 to 2016. That tenure produces 5 championships, over 1,000 regular season wins, and a postseason winning percentage above .600. Popovich often credits Duncan for his own longevity, once stating bluntly, "He's the reason I kept my job." Their relationship runs on mutual trust, quiet, unspoken, and rooted in shared discipline rather than personality theatrics. Popovich, a U.S. Air Force Academy graduate, respects Duncan's calm, methodical leadership and never forces vocal dominance on him. He delegates the locker room culture to a star, confident that Duncan's presence regulates ego and enforces team-first accountability. Their approach rejects drama, prioritizing structure over spectacle. Because of that bond, the Spurs become a model of sustained excellence, without ever needing a superstar who demands the spotlight. Tim Duncan never leads the league in scoring or wins back-to-back MVPs, despite anchoring a 50-win team nearly every year of his prime. Between 1998 and 2010, he averages 21.3 points, 11.7 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks per game, yet garners less media attention than flashier contemporaries like Kobe Bryant or Kevin Garnett. Voters grow fatigued with consistency, often defaulting to the more emotionally visible stars. Duncan's game, defined by efficiency and angles, doesn't fit highlight reels or endorsement campaigns. He once tells a reporter, "Stats are for losers," and often skips mandatory all-star press obligations without apology. That disinterest in narrative costs him coverage, especially in an era where image starts to matter as much as impact. While Garnett flexes and Kobe snarls, Duncan banks shots off glass and calmly walks away. The public's demand for spectacle leaves him boxed out of the style-first, story-driven era that follows. In 2014, Tim Duncan guides the Spurs to their fourth championship of his career by dismantling LeBron James's Miami Heat in 5 games. The series ends with an 18-point average margin of victory, still the largest ever in an NBA Finals. Duncan contributes 15.4 points and 10 rebounds per game on 52% shooting, but his value extends beyond the box score. He anchors a team-first attack that averages 25.2 assists per game and leads the league in ball movement and spacing. Finals MVP goes to 22-year-old Kawhi Leonard, who emerges as the two-way star of the future. But behind Kawhi's rise is Duncan's presence, his patience in the post, his positioning on defense, his control of tempo. He becomes the only player in NBA history to win titles in 3 different decades with the same franchise. That 2014 Finals doesn't just cap Duncan's career, it crystallizes the Spurs as basketball's blueprint for sustainable dominance. From 1997 to 2016, Tim Duncan plays 19 full NBA seasons. His Spurs make the playoffs every single year. Over that stretch, he captures 5 NBA titles, earns 3 Finals MVPs, and wins back-to-back league MVPs in 2002 and 2003. No player in league history records more wins with a single franchise. Duncan retires with 1,001 total victories in a Spurs uniform. His career reflects not just dominance, but near-total consistency, averaging a double-double across 18 postseason appearances. Unlike his peers, he exits without ceremony. No farewell tour, no press conference, no staged final game. The Spurs release a simple press statement in July 2016, and Duncan's career ends as it began, low profile, high impact. The data cements his legacy, but the absence of spectacle explains why it's so often forgotten. After Tim Duncan retires in 2016, the Spurs' win percentage collapses from .710 during his final season to .402 just 3 years later. That 30-point drop isn't just a stat, it's a shift in identity. The franchise that posted 50 or more wins in 18 of 19 Duncan-led seasons quickly becomes a lottery team. Without him, the defense cracks, the culture thins, and the quiet dominance that defined San Antonio evaporates almost overnight. Among all big men in NBA history, only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Russell record more Finals MVPs. Between 2000 and 2010, Duncan anchors the league's best team defense while personally posting the top defensive rating among all forwards. He enters the Hall of Fame in 2020 without debate. First ballot, no resistance. The numbers prove his greatness. The collapse proves his value. Tim Duncan wins 5 NBA titles, earns 15 All-NBA selections, and finishes with more career wins than any other player in history. 1,001 victories with one franchise. He outlasts both Larry Bird and Magic Johnson in longevity, durability, and postseason consistency. His defensive resume includes 15 all-defense honors, over 3,000 career blocks, and the league's best defensive rating among forwards throughout the 2000s. He blocks more shots than Shaquille O'Neal and scores more points than Hakeem Olajuwon. Only Jordan wins more with fewer finals losses, but Duncan never had the league's marketing machine behind him. Because he never leads the league in scoring and never courts controversy, he gets left off many GOAT shortlists. Lists lean toward volume scorers or cultural icons. Duncan represents neither. He doesn't hold the microphone, headline the debate, or stir emotion. He just wins, with a resume that quietly checks every statistical and competitive box. The numbers place him in the top tier of all time, but the spotlight never follows. Tim Duncan rejects nearly every offer that promises extra exposure. He turns down shoe deals that demand flashy commercials, skips the Space Jam sequel entirely, and once shows up to a league MVP press event in wrinkled cargo shorts. In a media era built on personality-driven branding, he builds a 19-year career without ever chasing the spotlight. He doesn't tweet, rarely speaks beyond the locker room, and avoids post-game soundbites unless absolutely necessary. That silence becomes the defining trait of his stardom. Duncan wins 5 NBA titles, 2 MVPs, and 3 Finals MVPs, all without ever dominating headlines or pushing a public narrative. While his peers build signature sneakers and viral moments, he stacks wins in the background. He doesn't sell a persona, he just delivers results. That refusal to play the media game helps explain why he's often forgotten in it. In Game 6 of the 2016 Western Conference semifinals, Tim Duncan takes one last shot, a fadeaway over Serge Ibaka that gets cleanly blocked. The Spurs trail by double digits, and the moment doesn't carry the weight of a championship or even a close game. Still, it's the final field goal attempt of a 19-year Hall of Fame career. Duncan, stoic as ever, walks silently off the court, his expression unchanged. There's no wave to the crowd, no tears, no ceremony. Greg Popovich calls timeout and pulls the starters, not for strategy, but to give the fans a chance to acknowledge him. It's the closest thing to a farewell Duncan allows. A month later, on July 11, 2016, he announces his retirement through a press release. No interview, no jersey tour, just a line in the transaction log and one of the quietest exits in superstar history. His final shot misses, but his legacy never does.